Adolescence is the highest risk period for developing problematic smartphone use, a condition characterized by salience and tolerance patterns identical to recognized behavioral addictions. Most current prevention programs are built on passive danger awareness, warning adolescents about the hazards of excessive use, or offering generic lifestyle advice. These warnings often fail because they do not address the underlying cognitive mechanisms that drive the compulsive behavior in the first place. A randomized trial from the University of Florence attempted a different approach, replacing passive awareness with active cognitive restructuring. In Graph A, tracking daily hours on the phone, the training group exhibits a statistically significant reduction in use compared to the control group. Graph B tracks high-risk physical behaviors. The data shows a parallel significant drop among students receiving the cognitive training. These results suggest that achieving large effect-size behavioral changes in youth requires moving beyond information sharing to direct intervention in the adolescent psyche. The Florence Protocol used a 5-week curriculum combining cognitive behavioral therapy with the conceptual change model. The intervention focused on modifying the internal beliefs adolescents hold about their devices. This strategy is anchored in Adrian Wells' metacognitive model, which explores how beliefs about our own thoughts drive psychopathology. Managing problematic smartphone use requires clinicians to address the behavior as a metacognitive regulatory failure, moving beyond the framework of a purely physical dependency. Metacognitions are the beliefs individuals hold about their own cognition, internal states, and thought patterns. In behavioral addiction, this architecture is sustained by positive metacognitions. This involves the belief that the smartphone is an effective tool for regulating negative emotions or overcoming social isolation. Under this belief, users spend time or money in specific applications as a calculated strategy to manage those negative feelings. The cycle is completed by negative metacognitions. These are the pervasive thoughts regarding a loss of control, manifesting as anxiety, irritability, and sadness over one's own screen time. The anxiety generated by these negative beliefs creates more stress, which prompts the brain to seek the device again for comfort, reinforcing the reliance on the phone. The addiction becomes a self-perpetuating loop, where the interplay of positive and negative beliefs creates a continuous cycle of psychological dependence. Breaking this loop requires the conceptual change model, a didactic approach used in classroom settings to foster a deeper understanding of behavior. The model requires instructors to elicit pre-existing misconceptions from the students so they can be challenged through critical thinking. To maintain relevance, researchers bypassed generic lectures and targeted high-risk digital behaviors. The curriculum targeted loot boxes, mobile gaming mechanics, online casino gambling, and cryptocurrency trading. Because these behaviors often involve real financial investment, the cognitive problem-solving becomes immediately realistic to a teenage audience. The intervention schedule shows how each week escalated the complexity of the targeted digital behaviors. Week 2 focused on deconstructing the hidden costs and psychological manipulation within mobile game economies. Interactive activities, such as quizzes asking students to identify which game types lead to higher spending, force them to confront their own habits based on evidence. By week 4, the curriculum exposed the economic problems, privacy risks, and potential for fraud in compulsive digital trading and shopping. By addressing the structural manipulations of the apps themselves, the intervention encourages students to reconstruct their knowledge rather than just receiving passive warnings. The clinical metrics of the trial were analyzed using a mixed 2x2 ANOVA to compare pre- and post-test results. In Graph C, we see the data for positive metacognitions related to emotional and cognitive regulation. The training group showed a significant reduction in these beliefs, with a large effect size of 1.20. Graph D shows the metrics regarding the social advantages of smartphone use. Again, the trained group saw a significant drop in the belief that phones solve social isolation, with an effect size of 0.61. Negative metacognitions regarding the uncontrollability of phone use showed more resistance in the data. Unlike the sharp decline in positive beliefs, negative beliefs regarding loss of control only saw a medium effect size decrease of 0.57. Entrenched anxieties regarding a loss of control are often the most difficult cognitive patterns to alter and likely require more prolonged reinforcement. While these anxieties remained more stable, The intervention successfully weakened the positive metacognitions that typically justify picking up the phone in the first place. These results have implications for how we understand the broader pathology of addiction. The unitary neurobiological theory of addiction provides a traditional baseline for treatment. This theory suggests that addictions activate identical neural circuits, whether the trigger is a chemical substance or a behavioral habit. If the underlying brain circuits are the same, the effectiveness of behavioral treatments depends on their ability to address specific metacognitive structures. Because behavioral addictions lack an external chemical substance, their existence is driven by the psychological loop. Disrupting the belief can starve the physical neural circuit of its trigger. As a preliminary study of 93 students, these findings are subject to academic limitations. The trial relied on self-reported data within a specific geographic area and did not track long-term PSU symptoms following the post-test. However, the data provides a clear conceptual direction for clinicians and educators. The Florence trial suggests that adolescent technology addiction is a flawed regulatory belief that must be actively rewritten to affect behavioral change.